We have very, very different systems of motivation in the United Kingdom and in the global West, where it tends to be driven more by corporate, very short-term kind of competitive time cycles. And even at political and governmental levels, you're talking your 5-year re-election cycles.
Mhm.
So everything's very, very rapid. Whereas when you look at the BRICS countries in China, they are more long-term in their approach. We've seen this from China. You'll get a lot of backing behind the development of technologies, but the game plan can be 10, 15 years
Mhm.
hence. So that necessarily affects the motivations as to what they want to do with the
Yeah.
likes of AI and also how they would respond to the safeguarding of AI, which I think is very important.
If Ray Dalio is right, and we are nearing the end of a 250-year empire cycle, are Western businesses and policymakers prepared for a future where China or the BRICS alliance set global rules for education, tech innovation, and currency systems? And if not, what would real preparation look like beyond token decoupling strategies?
The cultural differences between the West and China. The approach in China is just make your money quickly, come up with a new innovation, build it quickly, sell it until everybody else catches up, and then make another invention and sell that quickly and maintain your lead that way. Almost a little like the system that we have for medical products and pharmaceuticals, where after a set period of being able to say, okay, we invented this, we put the research in, so we're the only ones that can sell it, you get maybe about 5 years and it has to then become generic. It has to then be shared with everybody, and that makes it more available and cheaper, and that seems fair to everybody. So we're already doing that. It's a part of the culture in China, and it's not like a mandated part of the culture. It's just how they do it. So there's that flexibility. But in governance style, if I'm to put my slightly more cynical hat on, they're not that flexible. If you live in China and you break the rules, you know about it very quickly. The same is true of many of the BRICS countries where commerce is flexible, but government is authoritarian. And that's the concern that we have, is which is the part of the culture which is going to spread out if we're under the jurisdiction of a country like this? Is it going to be the flexible bit, or is it going to be the authoritarian bit? And again, my take on this is I suspect it's going to be the flexible part because it's easier to maintain, it's less brittle. As East Germany found and as Russia found, maintaining a surveillance culture and ruling with an iron fist is massively resource intensive. It's very, very difficult. So the rules are very different. And this is the problem with AI, is it's a single title which covers a number of very, very different technologies. But across the board, I would say that the one thing that they all have in common is their ability to be streamlined and then run locally. Now, once they're run locally at the edge, then you find that a lot of these rules and restrictions and the necessity for variations from one region to another become much simpler. Whilst they are being run as they are largely being run now, on the cloud and centralized databases
Mhm.
applied broad brush overreaching way across the world, that's hard. Like people still place a lot of emphasis in Silicon Valley, even though arguably most of the main innovations that the world is seeing aren't coming from there, but they're still associated with innovation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's one way of looking at it. However, if we're going to take this to AI, for example, and we're going to look at safe AI, we have to understand the differences between our culture, our means of motivation, the 5-year cycles for government and the much shorter cycles for competitive organizations and how they differ from these other countries which are seeking to build in their own sovereign technologies. If we want these technologies to be safe for everyone, not just maintaining a degree of dominance in the West, but let's just look at this on a global scale. We want these technologies to be safe for everybody. So we have to look at it from a non-Western lens. So in the
Mhm.
West, AI safety or technology safety would be about protecting users, avoiding lawsuits, managing reputational risks for organizations. If we're serious about building global cooperation, we need to understand how those same principles are going to land really differently in the likes of China and across BRICS.